I want to get the world dancing. And I was just like, I'm just going to do this. At first, I was really scared because at the time, TikTok was a bit like, as a dancer, they were like, oh, you're just a TikTok dancer. Or, oh, you're just making silly little TikToks. But I don't know, I just kind of ignored all that. And I was just like, I'm just going to do it.
Welcome to Studio Sessions, a video series for creative performers. Each week we go behind the scenes on the shoots and sit down with guests to discuss their careers, the creative industry, and share the lessons they've learned along the way.
Cool, welcome to the show.
Hey.
So for anyone who doesn't know who you are, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Sewell, a dancer and creative from London.
Amazing. How was your shoot today?
It was amazing. I just said that it was probably one of my favourite shoots I've ever done. It was such a good vibe, and yeah, I loved every minute.
Oh, so good. So kind of going back to your dance career, where would you say that started?
It started in a small hall in Woldingham. I used to do like little pantos every year. My mum got me involved, and I went to a street dance class called Star Dance Academy because I wanted to be a star. It kind of just evolved from there. I went to the Brit School of Performing Arts, and I was there for 4 years, and then I went to the Erdang Academy, it kind of just stepping stones from a little hall in Kent.
Yeah.
The stage.
And talking about the stage, like what kind of things have you done kind of in your professional career?
I've done quite a few things, but mainly in the commercial industry, from live TV performances, working with artists, TV shows, to commercials, modelling. So I've kind of got my hands in
many pies. Yeah.
Exactly.
So going back to your kind of earlier years, what was it about dance that kind of really drew you to that art?
I think it was just the freedom. When I was younger, I always knew I wanted to just be on stage. And I used to do gymnastics, and I was always put with the boys, and I just wanted to be with the girls because they did like the routines to the songs, like, with the ribbons and stuff, and I just was like, I want to do that. My sister was actually a dancer, and she's still a dancer, and I just loved watching her dance. And it was just something about moving my body. And I don't know, growing up, as a gay man, I hadn't obviously come out when I was younger, so I always kind of felt like it was my language to kind of express myself and just be me. And it was kind of like the safest space for me, just dancing in a studio with music with my friends, it's like a little community. It was kind of that.
So coming on to like the first look from today, what was that and what made you bring that along?
I love a vest and I love a jort, a jean short. And I don't know, it just makes me feel comfortable. I feel confident about that look. And I just wanted kind of like a stripped back kind of look, which made me feel good. And also kind of portrayed a little bit of me in real life. I thought that was important.
Yeah. How important do you think it is to kind of show who you are in real life when it comes to building a portfolio?
So important. I think when we think of having a portfolio, we think we have to do this and we have to do that and we have to be that and be this, and I don't know, look at other people's portfolios and be like, oh, that worked for them, it's going to work for me. It doesn't always work like that. I think being true to yourself and being your most authentic self is so important, and having a touch of you in your pictures from like real life is just, it's really important, because then agents, clients, teams who are booking, they get to see you, but also they get to see like an elevated version because it's obviously behind a professional lens. I think it's very important.
And on that topic of being authentic, how would you advise people try and find that authenticity in themselves? Because I feel like some people maybe don't know who the real them is because they've been someone else for so long.
Yeah, I think it's just experimenting. Like, I remember not really knowing what my style was, not really knowing how I like to dress, and it just took me a while to figure out what looked good on my body, what made me feel good as Brett, how do I feel when I'm wearing this, that, X, Y, and Z. So I think it's experimenting and just not being afraid to try new things, and like really just push the boundaries of what makes you feel good,
100%. And I feel like talking about pushing the boundaries as well, I feel like that's something you've done really well with your career and with your creativity. How important do you think it is to have creativity as part of a career as a dancer?
So important. I think obviously as a dancer it's so important, but as a creative as a whole, whatever field you're in, it's just like, that's what we are. We're creative. So we have to have some sort of like spark of creativity to be able to, I don't know, even give to the world, you know? It's so important, because without that like magic in you, you're just becoming a robot, you know, and you're just doing this, and it's just like, you have to have your own personal touch or flair when it comes to this industry, or just being a dancer, or being whatever you want to be, you know?
Yeah, I completely get that. And I feel like it's really interesting seeing your journey of kind of like TikTok, because has just been so different for you. And like the creativity you've put into that, and kind of starting different dance challenges and doing things from there. How did that all kind of come about? Like, what made you think, actually, I'm going to put my own things out into the world?
Yeah, I started TikTok in lockdown. Obviously, we were all just stuck indoors. So I was just like itching. I just graduated. So I was actually set up I was meant to be going on to work and stuff. So being forced inside, I was like, oh, how am I going to give to the world? And yeah, it came quite naturally. I was just seeing the same dances, the same challenges, and it goes to that, like, I just saw people imitating and like just recreating the same thing. I was just like, I'm a dancer, I know how to make things look good, I know what feels good, I want to get the world dancing. And I was just like, I'm just going to do this. At first I was really scared, because at the time TikTok was a bit like, as a dancer, they were like, oh, you're just a TikTok dancer, or oh, you're just making silly little TikToks. But I don't know, I just kind of ignored all that, and I was just like, I'm just going to do it, and I'm just going to start making my dances, and yeah, the rest is history. I'm here now, you know, and I'm so grateful the platform that I've got. It's really, I will say it has been life-changing, like the opportunities, and I don't know, the feeling I get when I see. There was this one video that literally gave me chills of these kids in Africa doing my dance challenges. And it's just like, if I can reach people all the way over there, and I get messages from little kids in Brazil who are like, it's my dream to be a dancer, I love your challenges. I'm just like, oh my God, if I can touch them and like make them feel something in their small little town or village, and they're just spreading light and joy, it's just, yeah, it just makes me so happy, you know.
And how important to you as a whole is it to spread joy as a person?
Really important. It's very important for me. I think it's the reason why I do what I do. Of course, dance is my everything, but I think making people feel something when I'm either performing or creating or putting out content is the most important thing for me, because if there's no feeling, why are we doing this, you know? So yeah, if I can just make someone feel something and someone feel good, or someone feel any emotion, positive emotion, that means way more to me than anything, you know?
Yeah, I think it's really nice to have that thing that kind of drives you and kind of gives you the purpose to keep making.
Absolutely.
I think as a creative, it's always good to have something that lives in the back of your mind that helps drive you to create. Like, it's the reason why I do what I do, is to help. If you know that if you stopped, people would miss you, people would miss that happiness. And I think it's so positive that that's something that you're bringing to the world. So moving on to the second look that we did today, what was that and what made you bring that?
So my second look was a two-piece. This was a more elevated look for me. I love like two pieces, but also I hate two pieces. Like, it depends what it is.
Yeah.
But this was like a Levi's two piece, which is really like just minimal like graphics on the print. And yeah, for me it was just a nice visual, but also it kind of like was a part of me as like, I'm a very colourful person, but I'm also just like clean and sharp. That's what I was kind of going for. Like on the mood board that you sent over, I saw the shirt and I was like, okay, cool. How am I gonna do this but do me? And again, it's going back to who I am and my authenticity. And it's just, yeah, I love that look.
I love the, oh my God, I love. So cool. Oh my God, it doesn't look like that. No. Oh, I'm obsessed.
Go, next up.
Yeah, I feel like that phrase, do this but do me, is just so important. It's like, how can you take a little bit of inspiration from what you see, 100%. Like take the world, but then make it your own.
100%.
It's like, don't take the world and then copy the world.
Because
it's already been done. It's like,
it's already been done. And I always think that like the people who are just copying, you're always going to be behind. And that's not a negative, but the moment you start creating, it then shifts it to then people copying you, and it's just like, oh, you're the one who's going and going and going, you know? So yeah, the second week was really fun. It was like pop of colour, but also really clean and sharp denim.
Yeah, and I love to be able to, like, I love when a look comes and I'm like, yes, I feel like I know exactly how to shoot this.
Got it.
And we got the pink lights going, and it kind of just created like, almost like took the outfit and then brought that into its own world.
The lighting today, that was the highlight of today. Your lighting is A1. Perfecto. What a break.
So going back to TikTok, as we were talking about before, what have you learned from posting so much on there? Because I feel like you've got a huge amount of content now, and the level of consistency is really high.
Yeah, I think I've learned to just be myself. When I first started TikTok, I was like in and out of like doing my own challenges and doing other people's challenges. And I do love, and I still do, other people's challenges now and then when it feels right for me.
Yeah.
But I think being me, and for instance, I love R&B, old school music. So most of my challenges are to those like old school R&B tracks or new tracks that kind of emulate those kinds and that kind of era of music, because that's what I'm connected to. So I think I've learned that it's just being yourself and kind of just, again, being consistent and like knowing, okay, cool, I can post today, I can post tomorrow. Let me make some content, then I can post it again. It's just having a schedule to it and like just, having fun. Like I don't take it too seriously. And I think that's why things are kind of like read so well and people love my content, because I sometimes see content is so serious and it's so like it's perfect. And I'm just like, just put my phone down, record a dance and put it out to the world. And it's just as simple as that. And like, I think that's what people feel from me, is that I'm just having fun, and I honestly really am. And luckily, and I'm so grateful that I can have fun and make good money as well and share with the world. And it's kind of come into like my kind of side hustle, you know.
I think it's really good to have that as a message as well, of like, you don't need any fancy stuff.
No.
Like you've just got your phone and then that's all you need. I think a lot of people, especially in the creative world, are like, oh, I'll start that once I've got this camera, once I've got this lighting equipment, once I've got all of these things, saying like future me will do this when I've got this.
It's just like, do it now. What's stopping you? You're stopping you, not you. But like, you're stopping you, like because I used to do it. I was like, I was making dances. I was just saying, I was like, okay, I posted it, because I was almost scared of the judgment. I was scared of like what people are going to think. But you have to just go like, that isn't relevant. It's like, you just have to put what you want to put out into this world, because like I said earlier, we spoke about this, we have one life, and it's like, we have such limited time on this earth. Like, just put out what is inside, because it's just like, just don't go wasting all that like goodness, you know.
And how do you know what to put out? Because I think a lot of people would be like, oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't know where to start or what to do or what to create.
Yeah, I say this to my close friends, like, I have a feeling. It's like my spidey sense of like viral. I always know what's gonna kind of like, because I think I know my followers now and who follow me, and like what kind of people like what kind of things. I kind of know what's going to do well, but sometimes I don't. And I just think like, as long as I enjoy it and as long as it feels natural to me and it feels good, I'm okay putting it out, because it's me being me, you know.
I think that understanding your audience is something that is so like undervalued. I think there's almost, if you think in like two circles, you're like what you love and what your audience will love, and then try and find those middle points between the two, and like that's where the magic happens. And I feel like there's always, because you can't, I think there's the being completely authentically yourself, but there has to be a level of like, you're not authentic. Like there's a level of like, I'm gonna be myself, but I'm also gonna do something that's gonna work with my audience at the same time.
Elevated version.
But
it's like, it comes from an authentic side of you, so then it doesn't feel forced. But I totally agree. It's like, you kind of have to know what they want. It's branding. It's creating your branding. It's creating I call it my little empire, you know, and like what people want to buy into without obviously buying into it, but like what people are interested in and what people love, you know. But I totally agree.
And it's, say if you're graduating now and you're like, okay, I want to, this is going to be my future. How would you start to build that empire, start to build that brand?
I think going back to the earlier question, it's about knowing yourself. It's about knowing what you want, and not what anyone else wants or what you think you should want. Because I think the first thing I thought about when I came out of college was like what I want, where I want to be, who I want to be, why I want to be it. Like, it's all those questions that you kind of have to break down. And I actually used to write it down and like really like know. And I've got like journals and journals and journals of whilst I was in college and like coming out of college during COVID time, because we had so much time, of like just writing out what I want and how I'm going to get there. And then I think once you kind of know that, it kind of creates like all the pieces of the puzzle, and it kind of just figures itself out. Because there's this one quote that I love, and it is by an amazing woman called Jenny Griffin. It's not actually her quote, but she said it to me. And it's about, if you have a cat, sometimes you just have to sit and wait for that cat to come to you. You can't chase the cat around and like, get it, because it's just going to dart around. And it kind of feeds into the work and the jobs. Sometimes you just have to sit and know who you are and what you want to be, and it's going to come and it's going to sit down and you're going to have your moment. That doesn't mean just sit and wait and be patient. Obviously, you have to still be doing the hard work, but it's about not being so... It's that desperate energy. You don't ever want that. You just want to just know your worth, know who you are, know what you want to be, work so hard, and it will come to you. And I was working on a movie called Cinderella when I graduated, and she said it around then. It's just always stuck with me. And I just think of like work as that, like there's just like loads of little kittens around you. If you just chase them, they're never going to come. You just have to be patient and attract, and it will come.
I absolutely love that. Yeah. That's gold.
It's literally burn in my brain. Jenny Griffin, love her down.
And in those times when you're sat there waiting for the cat to arrive, what are you doing? Like, what does that look like for you?
I'm really like OCD. So like I always have to have some sort of structure, but my structure and my schedule will be, if I'm like, it's holding myself accountable, going to the gym, working out, going to class, keeping myself mentally strong, internally strong. I always have things pop up, so rehearsals and stuff. But if I do have quiet times, it's like, okay, Brett, you have time to recoup and figure out, what now do you want to do? What do you want to do next?
Last night, have you watched this new series called...
I see advertising.
Yeah, I said last night, okay, basically I'm really big on manifestation. And I sat down with my housemates and I said, I'm just letting you guys know, we always do this, like, do you have a dream or a goal? I'm just letting you guys know I'm going to work for a K-pop artist, for a choreographer, a K-pop artist. I'm going to be in the K-pop scene at one point in my life. I feel like I'm so crazy that you said that.
What's the new adventure going to be? Because I'm always trying to keep it fresh and keep it going. I never want to just be okay with like being okay and like, yeah, I'm doing good. No, I always want to be elevating and growing in whatever way that is.
I've been very, very fortunate and lucky to have done a large array of work, but I think that's the thing I'm craving. It's like a tour with like 8 to 12 dancers, with a really big pop star, preferably female, because I just love like pop energy, like but also male. But I just like growing up when I used to watch Britney, Janet, Madonna, like those kinds of artists that emulate those big tours, and like I just want high budget world tour. But I'm so grateful for everything I've done. I think that'll be the next thing for me.
So I'm always just trying to keep a structure, keep myself in check and hold myself accountable, and just be as consistent as I can, because consistency is what's going to bring success, you know?
Yeah, because I think, like someone saying to me, is you don't need to kind of have these huge leaps in success. You just need to get 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And I think there's a story of a British cycling team where they just decided to, instead of trying to make this thing 20% better so we can become the fastest team, let's look at every single thing that our team does, break them all down and make them all 1% better. Because make something 1% better is easy. But once you've done that across a huge board, that's a huge elevation.
Yeah.
And that team went from that mentality to getting the most golds ever at the Olympics.
I love that.
So moving on to the third look from today, what was that? What made you bring that?
That was my pink shirt and joggers and my Timberlands. I wanted to go for like get out of bed, put on a shirt, walk to the shops, get some eggs, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of vibe. And yeah, I'm really like, I love a jogger. Like I love to be comfy, but also I like to be a little bit elevated as well and just be a bit smart sometimes. So yeah, it was a really free look. Again, with the shirt and the lighting, your lighting, it really made the mood feel good. And I think that I want to wait until we see all the pictures, but I think it may be my favorite look.
It's so good. In terms of kind of elevation, I know you've talked about that quite a few times. Mm-hmm. How would you advise someone if they're kind of looking to do a shoot to be able to take something that's relatively normal and then just elevate it a little bit?
I think it's the small details, like, I don't know, like a piece of jewelry or like a boot instead of a trainer, or like a jogger but like a smart jogger, like those kinds of details. Like I would wear like a normal baggy jogger usually, but I had a flared jogger on, which was tight fitting, so it shows my body. I do wear rings, but I wouldn't wear my ring every day. I have beads in my hair, so it's not just the ends frayed, like just those fine details. I think it's like I'm a detail freak. Like I love like the little bits of the details. So yeah, it's just like attention to detail is really important in all aspects, dance, life, you know. I think that's how we become our best selves.
Yeah. And in terms of taking that into dance then, how do you kind of focus on those smaller details, and how do those details make you a better dancer?
My training, I was like mentored and trained by the most amazing human, Dean Lee, and he is a detail monster, and I say monster in the most incredible way. Like he's like, if that finger is out, boom, you know, like, and I think that's like years training with him for years and years and years. I think I've just become accustomed to like focusing my details too, and I just think it's like one of the most amazing skills to have, and just like drilling and going harder and pushing your body over and over again, so it almost becomes second nature. I've definitely learned that, along with so many things training with him over the years. And yeah, details are just unmatched. If you can be clean but also give you, the world is ours, you know.
So talking about details as well, if you're going into an audition, what kind of details do you kind of prepare for there?
I think auditioning, I love auditioning. Auditions are actually one of my favorite things to do. I think, I don't know, I love to show off, and I not in that kind of way, but I do. I love to be in the room. I love to show my best self. I love to put my best foot forward. And for me, I always just look at the choreographer and I just see exactly what they're doing. If they have assistants, I'm looking at their details. I'm just trying to soak in as much as I can. And yeah, before I add any of me, because I know I can add me all day long, but I think it's really important, if you're going up for a job, you have to be able to almost be a robot. So I'm kind of contradicting myself, what I said earlier about like being free, but at the same time, you have to learn how to be that robot and know exactly what they want, exactly what the job requires. And then once you have that, you can start to add a bit of you know? So for me, when I go into auditions, I just think I'm going to look exactly the same as you, and I'm going to use every fibre in my body to just be what you want me to be. And then when it's time to dance later, you're going to see me, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So for someone who's maybe like graduating now, or has maybe never done an audition before, what would your advice be to someone going into one of those rooms initially?
I think it's so important to just be as calm as possible. I think people think of auditions and they get freaked out and they think, oh my gosh, it's an audition. I think that's the worst place to be in. And I've done it before. I was at college auditioning, and there's so much anxiety that builds up, because it's like our industry is so out of our hands and we don't have control. And someone who is a control freak, I love to have things under control. You can't, and you have to kind of let all of that go, and just go in and just be as free as possible, because once you do that and you just breathe, you're gonna just give what you've been training. You've been training for a reason. You can do this like that, you know? So I think be as calm as possible, and just go in there with the mentality of it's a rehearsal, or you're already on the job. That's what I always try to do, because I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm just in rehearsal, I'm learning a number for the show, and it's gonna be great. And then the kind of pressure kind of goes, you know? But and just also to remember, like, it's not the end of the world either way. If you get the audition, if you don't, you've shown up for yourself. you've been amazing, and you just do your best. And yeah, it's up to the universe, God, whoever or whatever you believe in, you know, like, just have to have faith and just, yeah.
So obviously you've definitely got through a few auditions in your time. What was coming out of kind of college and like sort of even like some of the bigger jobs you've got onto, how's that felt kind of first day being on set, being with a new team? Like, how did you kind of get into the mindset of I'm ready to kind of embrace something new?
I think when I first started out, like, there's this feeling of like, you're never ready. Like, and I still, like, there are things I do and I'm just like, oh, I'm not ready for this. But like, you are ready. You just have to throw yourself in and just be open to anything. But I do think it's just knowing yourself and stepping into the room as you and no one else, because you got hired for yourself, you got hired for being you, and that's all they want. And as long as you're a good person, I think being a good person is the most important thing. Yeah, everything else will align.
Yeah.
Just being yourself, being a good person, because you're in the room for a reason. You're obviously talented enough to be in the room, but I think those are the things, again, making how you make others feel, what energy you bring into the room, they're the most important things. And I've always got good feedback in those kind of areas, so I think that's maybe why people use me or bring me back, is because of the feeling I bring to the room, aside from the dancing, you know?
On so many kind of creative jobs, there's going to be people, everything creative is people-based. Like, you're going to be working with other people all the time. Like, no creativity is really just a solo endeavor that no one else ever sees. There's always other people there. And I think the way you interact with other people, and even just the way you think, okay, I want to leave this room with this person feeling this way, and kind of going in there with that mentality is going to really help.
100%. And I've been in rooms where I haven't felt good. And it's like, it's hard. Like, it's a really hard feeling to deal with, and it's like, oh, do these people like me, or am I doing something wrong, or am I doing it right? Like, and sometimes it's not even intentional, and it doesn't come from a bad place, but I have been left feeling that way. So for me, I would never want anyone to feel that way. So that's why I think it's so important for me to lead from a place of love, because it's always someone's first job, it's always someone's first experience, it's always someone's biggest dream. And regardless of if it's my first time or my 100th time, it's like we all have to have this feeling of, oh, this is going to be the most incredible experience ever. So that's why that's important for me.
And so I feel like I get that with shoots as well, where people come in, it might be their first time ever shooting, and like the anxiety and the fear is there. But like I think it's like, it's being empathetic, it's being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
100%.
And then like the kind of thing that your parents always said to you is like, treat people how you want to be treated. And I think if you can just have that as your mindset, like in everything kind of creative and just life in general, I think you'll be in a much better place.
100%. I agree with that so much.
So going on to the fourth and final look from today, what was that? What made you bring that?
That look was a white tee, jeans, and some trainers. And it was a cropped white tee. It was kind of like a more basic look, but yeah, I think it's so important in like portfolio shots to have a more stripped back look, because you can give all these different looks, but sometimes it is just about the client or the booker seeing your face, seeing your body, seeing what you look like in more plain clothing. If you're, I don't know, wanting to model for a more basic brand, like a high street brand, it's usually quite plain clothing. So it's so important, I think, to have like an array of outfits and looks. So yeah, I really did like that look. It was fun.
I think that's a really good point about thinking about the kind of brands you'd want to work with, because yes, there's going to be your like jadeds that have got kind of like crazy fun stuff all the time, but the chance of them hiring is probably not going to be very often. Whereas someone like a Gap or a H&M or something who have relatively stripped back, so there's going to be so much more of those jobs that come up for people. So I think thinking about realistically, like even like just the research of when you walk down the street, what adverts do you see on billboards? And start thinking about, okay, those are clearly the biggest campaigns going, so how can I build a portfolio that kind of suits those kinds of jobs?
And then going back to what we said earlier, it's about knowing yourself. It's like, what brands do you want to work? It's like, write them down, like know what you want to do, because the moment you know, then you can like make that a reality, and then you have the content, you have the pictures, and all they have to do is, he or she looks great, let's put them on, you know?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like, off mic earlier, you were talking about, you asked me if I could shoot with anyone, who would it be? And I think my response is like, it's so hard because I've got, like, there's ego people who I'd love to shoot with just because it would make me look great to people. And then there's people who I really want to shoot with because that means something to me. And I think with kind of jobs and the kind of things you'll want to lead to in your career, it's always worth thinking about, okay, well, who do I want to work for and why do I want to work for them? Like, is this just because it's going to boost my ego, or is it because deep down that's someone who has meant a lot to me? Like, this is a music artist who I listened to growing up, and if there's a bit more of like it would mean more to you than getting what might be the biggest campaign in the world, but if it's for a brand or kind of thing that you have no affiliation to, then there's not as much kind of internal fulfillment there.
And like going back to that conversation we had earlier,
and that goes into manifesting, because we're not actually we are, but we're not meant to manifest a thing, we're meant to manifest a feeling, because that's how it then, because you're basically resonating the feeling and then living in that feeling ready and then just attracting that feeling. So then that's why I feel like, I don't know, that is more important than that, you know?
Because like you said, it could be great ego-wise to do that, but if we get rid of the ego, it's like, what does it mean to me? And I'd rather do that, like we said before, because it makes me feel something, because it's like a part of my history, because like, what was the artist you said that you would like to shoot? Because it reminded you of
Avril Lavigne, because it's like, because when I was a kid, I used to remember having her album, and like that was just something to, at a very small stage of my life, that was my favourite person, and that was like, and like now I wouldn't necessarily listen to her as much, but if I got the opportunity to shoot with her, it'd be like,
it's a why, you know, and it's back to those whys of why we do it. It's like, there's so many reasons. It's like finding those whys and like, really just holding them tight and just like, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been so fun.
Thank you, it's been amazing. I've really had a beautiful time.
Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this episode, please share it. If you want to see more of these, click subscribe. And if you've got any questions or anything you want to ask, just drop them in the comments below. See you in the next session.